Hey, what's up guys? Sheikh Rampedi here. These weeks keep flying and these episodes keep coming. Banyana win their first WAFCON. Banyana are the champions of Africa. And then we'll talk about the other stuff. Hope you guys are ready. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
Let's start off with things that unfolded in Morocco. It was the final, Morocco going up against Banyana. And I gotta tell you, to have the resilience that Banyana showed in that stadium was immense. Because when you looked around that stadium, it was just a sea of red. Purely because, of course, the Morocco were the hosts of the tournament as well. So Banyana having to play in that environment and how hard it could have been, because you could see it every single time Morocco touched the ball and went forward. The atmosphere was pretty loud, but Banyana dealt with it pretty well. In the first half, you could just see that they were just sort of still getting into the hang of things, still trying to size each other up. Even with Morocco doing the same thing. But Banyana, when it came to second half, that's when you started to see their quality. That's when you started to see Desiree having to make the changes that she needed to make in order to win the game, and the quality that was on the bench as well. And it's a brilliant tournament for Banyana. It's a really brilliant tournament in the sense that they were the only team that won every single game at this tournament. And you got to look at this. I came up with these numbers. They are absolutely unreal. So as you can see on screen, 6 games played, 6 wins, 10 goals scored, 3 clean sheets, and only 3 goals conceded. And if anyone who saw Banyana, it was the fact that at the back, Maklo, and as well as Bambane as well, just being able to partner with one another and not conceding goals is what helped them out. Because to be fair, if you looked out throughout the tournament, they created a lot of chances. It's just the fact that they were not putting them away. But one thing that you always knew watching the ladies was the fact that they had the resilience to keep on going. And speaking about resilience, they deserve a massive shout out because I saw this graphic by Betway. They tweeted it out and I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it. Look at it. They've been runners up. Yep. Not only once, not only twice, not only 3 times, but 5 times they've been runners up, trying to win the WAFCON, and they never gave in. And eventually, finally, 2022 is the year that they win it. And they deserve a lot of credit. You know, they deserve a lot of credit because they are the true testament for, you know the saying when they say, if at first you don't succeed, you know, you dust yourself off and you try again. And that is something that they've been doing. And that is something Desiree Ellis and the girls deserve to be rewarded for. And speaking about rewardings, I mean, we have to give love to Banyana in terms of what they've done at this tournament. The prize money. I mean, man, I'm so happy. I'm happy because they will be able to get these kinds of prizes for themselves. And it just also goes to show how far women's football has come. Safa, you know, Dr. Danny Jordan spoke about the fact that they deserve to be rewarded and spoke about if they win this tournament, they'll win a total prize that they can share amongst each other, 9.2 million rands. And it doesn't stop there. The prize money for the WAFCON was 8.3 million rands. So in total, that's 17.5 million rand for these ladies. And I really hope they get their due. You know, they came back earlier, they landed. You could just see earlier in the day just how much they're celebrated, how much they're loved. And the last point, I want to congratulate Desiree Ellis. I want to congratulate the staff. I want to congratulate the players, you know, for even qualifying for the World Cup as well that's going to take place next year. Women's football needed this. You know, South African women's football needed this. They needed it because it accelerates the game of women's football within South Africa. And secondly, perhaps corporate sponsors could jump on board. I mean, they're the love of the town. They're the national pride. And with that, I say congratulations, ladies. We've spoken about the ladies, showered them with a lot of praise that they deserve. Let's talk about the men's now, because the men's were in action too over this past weekend. It was not spoken about enough, but it was the CHAN qualifiers, the tournament that's taking place in January. They had to go to Comoros and they won 1-0. They won 1-0. What was crazy was I couldn't find a lot of information regarding this game in terms of the way that they played. But it was the first leg, and you would say an away first leg, getting a 1-0 result is definitely a good result. The next leg is going to be playing this weekend at home. So I would think that they should have enough confidence to get through so that they can get to the second round, which they could potentially meet Angola or Mauritius. And I would expect Bafana Bafana to carry on, and they need to carry on as well. I think what I like is they've kept the same squad that was participating in the COSAFA Cup. So they are adamant on pushing this under 23. But they definitely need to qualify for tournaments. They need to play more because already Coach Hugo Bruce spoke about the fact that the under-23s are not playing, our under-17s are not playing. So the more you win games, the more you take part in competitions, the better. So good luck to Bafana Bafana, and let's see how the result will go. Let's talk about a team that kept us entertained this month of July. The Kaizer Chiefs DStv Challenge team. They good, right? I mean, they are so good. They've won 2 tournaments this month, the Engine Knockout Challenge, and in this past weekend, they won the DStv Disky Shield. I love how they play. You know, I really love how they play. I love the way they move the ball around. I love their confidence, the partnership that Mfundo Vilagazian as well as Mduduzi Shabalala have together. You know, Aiden McCarthy at the back being the rock, you know, Wandile Duba. There's just so many good things about this team, so young. And, you know, Coach Vela Kumalo spoke about the fact that they're still in school. And sometimes you watch a football game and you forget the fact that they're still in school. But speaking about the coach, he had comments. Yes, he had comments right after beating Stellenbosch. And this is what he had to say. We need to cook more. In the next 2 years, we are not going to buy. These players will be ready for the PSL. We want to dominate the PSL with these boys. Those were his comments. Those were his comments. You can tell he believes in these boys. And judging by what you see on the pitch, he has every right to. But what was key for me in that quote that he said was in 2 years' time. So there is a target perhaps that Chiefs are looking at to bleed these boys in eventually. But I must say, someone like Shabalala, like, he is maturing. You know, he's playing much better. Captaining as well has helped him. And just having to be part of the Kaizer Chiefs youth development, you could just see he's starting to play a lot better. But it's the 2 years for me that sticks to it. And I think it will be very interesting to see what the Kaizer Chiefs senior men's team will look like in 2 to 3 years' time. A lot of these players could be regulars. I would like to think the likes of Shabalala are going to feature a lot for the first team. But good luck to them. I think they've had a very good July, and let's see how they cope with regards to the league that they're going to take part in. Let's move away from the youth team and let's go right up to the top. And I'm not talking about the senior team. I'm not talking about the coaches of the senior team. I'm not talking about management either. We're going right to the top, and that is Kaizer Moutaung. A great, a man who received an honor this past weekend, an honorary doctorate. What was it for? It was for his contribution in football and as well as social development. Well deserved, I gotta say. I never saw him play. And I will admit that I never saw him play. But one thing that I love about him is his contributions that he's done to football, and never mind the football club Kaizer Chiefs. What he's done with working with Safa as well. He's played a huge role. Huge role. And the only thing I can say is the fact that he produced a club that I fell in love with. He produced a club that I watch every single time they play. He produced a club that my favorite South African footballer used to play for that club. Amakosi. And all I can just say is thank you so much for the contributions. It is seen. What I loved the most was yesterday there were videos that were going out celebrating him. The street was filled with players and the staff. And that is what you want to see. You want to see a whole lot more of that, of people who played a huge role in football development within South Africa and also still being given their flowers. So I will sign off with this and say, Dr. Kaizer Moutaung, Ronwen Williams, for the 50th time, I keep speaking about him, but what can I say? He's the Bafana Bafana national goalkeeper. He's a big name within South African football, so if he's always going to be making headlines and some sorts, then I have to talk about it. He finally joined Mamelodi Sundowns. He finally did. Finally, the move is over the line. His agent was speaking on radio about, how much it is, and it's so expensive that Mamelodi Sundowns had to pay for Ronwen Williams, and obviously, of course, because of just how much he means to SuperSport. And speaking about how much he means to him, you guys saw that video, the tribute that SuperSport, the club, had for him. It was a really good touch to see his family members that were there. I think his partner was in the video too. The staff that was at SuperSport United, Katenu Tembu as well, the former coach, he was speaking in the video too. It was really great to see. I thought SuperSport and whoever did that content piece deserve credit. I thought they set the bar very high. I also thought if legends are going to leave football clubs, that is how it should be done, because of the impact that you could just see he had on the staff and possibly even the players as well. And in the last 2 weeks, I've spoken about, is he ready for the challenge for Mamelodi Sundowns? I questioned if it was the right timing for him, considering his age and the keepers that are at Mamelodi Sundowns. And he's responded. I think he watched my content because he's responded, not necessarily to me, but this was his comments when he moved to Mamelodi Sundowns. I've been in the game for such a long time. I'm ready for the challenge. I want to add to the quality at Mamelodi Sundowns. It's a dream come true for me. I can see good things coming this season. Those are his comments. That's what he said. And in all honesty, if you are going to join Mamelodi Sundowns, you have to be able to be ready to compete with 2 or 3 players that play in your position. Some of them 5. And that's what he said. But I'm going to ask you a question. I'll ask myself the same question as well, because I want to answer it. I don't want to be someone who's just asking questions. Jokes aside, who do you really believe will be Mamelodi Sundowns' number 1? I'll help you out. There you go. Onyango, Mwini, Peterson, and Williams. For you, who do you really think will be number 1 next season? It's strange. How I think the coaches will go, I think Dennis Onyango is the winner for me. From a coach's perspective, what I think the coaches will do. They've trusted him. He's someone who's won on the continent as well. And he keeps on putting out good performances, no doubt. For me personally, if you look back last season, I would probably argue that Onyango for me wasn't the best goalkeeper at Mamelodi Sundowns. It was actually Kennedy Mwini for me. When he came on and when he had his chance when Onyango was injured, he hardly put a foot wrong. But it seems like he's okay with being second fiddle at this moment. So for me, it would be Kennedy Mwini. I think the coaches are going to go with Onyango. But it's a challenge that Williams is willing to accept. And let's see how it goes next season. Royal AM, the club of Mamkhize and as well as his son, Andile Mpisane, they hosted a press conference on Friday. It was interesting to see what they were going to say. And she made changes. John Maduka left. And then she came in with Kabazondo's going to be the man to take charge. But no, she changed it even more and said, Dan Malesela's coming in. He's joining the technical team. Okay. So I sit back, I see Dan Malesela's name. I say, okay, makes sense. Makes sense because of, I think he's a very good coach. I think the philosophy, he's got it spot on. Because the most important thing for her, she doesn't want the philosophy to change from what John Maduka was doing. The team that holds the ball, that keeps the ball. I think John Maduka's team probably moves the ball a lot faster than Malisela's team, but just what you saw what he did with Maruma Gallants, what he did with TS Galaxy when he was there, and just the clubs that he's been at. He's just always been able to get the team, regardless of the names, to keep the ball and keep moving it forward and progressing it. So I also do think what played a role was the fact that Kabuzondo has been missing from the game for 5 years as well. Yes, he's been part of the Nedbank Kiona Challenge, and I think because of him working with young players, he would be able to be the player motivator in the club. I think Dan Malisela, on the other hand, will probably play the tactician of the coaches. But it doesn't end there. There's another coach that was thrown in, Abraham Nteo. He's managed the DDC team of Royal AM. Now the three of them are going to be there. Now you ask yourself, if it's going to be three of them, Mam Kiza, what do you have to say about it? Who's the one who's going to make the final decision? You won't believe what she said. Rome was never built in one day. These three coaches are going to bring different dimensions to the football. They'll agree to disagree to get results. So they'll agree to disagree to get results. That's it. There's no like that one that is going to be who makes the final decision. They'll just have to agree to disagree. And I think I've asked this before in terms of what do you think of this co-coaches thing that is going on? You have to give it up to Mamelodi Sundowns. They are seriously trendsetters when it comes to this. And for me, if you are going to, because I do think a lot of teams look at the model of Mamelodi Sundowns. They've got their coaches there. They've got Manqoba and as well as Rulani. Steve Kompel is still part of the technical team. And I think everybody's still trying to mimic in terms of what they are doing. But if you are going to copy Mamelodi Sundowns, you have to copy everything. It can't just be one thing and think the success of results are going to come. They've got a philosophy. And I think also what people forget is that Rulani and Manqoba has been at the club for years. For years. So they understand the philosophy. But if you're going to just start it right here, new coaches, the three of them must just work together. I don't know. I think it's asking for a lot too soon. But she said Rome wasn't built in a day. We'll see how they progress. But tell me what you guys think about this co-coaches thing that's becoming a trend. From KZN to the capital city of South Africa, Pretoria, SuperSport United. Rumor has it, Kamohelo Mokotjo is signed with the club. I mean, when I saw this, it was another one that, you know, when the transfer comes in, it just automatically makes sense. Like, it really makes sense. I think they've gotten themselves a very, very good player here. You know, he left Cincinnati FC. You know, he's got a wealth of experience having to play within Netherlands and as well as in England. And he's got the USA as well. And he comes back with all of that experience. I think even just, never mind SuperSport United, a player of that profile coming back boosts the league. I think it boosts the club as well. And he's over 30, so he's into his 30s. And I think he could bring in the factor that Dean Furman brought in when he came back. And it's the type of experience that Gavanant is definitely looking for. And also the fact that, don't forget, he was part of the youth teams of SuperSport United. They played a huge role within his career. So if he was to come back to South Africa and play for a club, it only makes sense that he's going to play for SuperSport United. But a signing that I can't wait to see in terms of what he does in the midfield, the experience, what he's going to bring. I'm looking forward to that. And I just think it's a transfer that just makes sense. It's that time for Bet of the Week. Now, Bet of the Week, I show you my bet slip and hoping that it lights in green. And unfortunately, my last bet that I placed on the show, it didn't win. Doesn't feel nice. I haven't lost in such a long time. I was just so getting used to this winning streak. And one thing I love about Betway, I got to tell you, is the bet slips are there for proof. They are proof. And I just want to show you guys that I believed in our ladies so much that I placed the bet on them. And not only that, I did say they would score over 1.5 goals. I mean, and they did. And they did. So credit to them. So that actually made me smile and made me feel a little bit better after losing my bet from last week. But let's focus on to this week. We have a women's game. England going up against Sweden. It's going to be a tough game. I think Sweden do not concede easily. But I just think England have the energy to go forward. And I think this game won't be as hard as what Spain was. And I think England will be able to win it in 90 minutes. The other game, a friendly, Ajax going up against Shakhtar, I just see goals. I simply just see goals. And I said over 2.5. And my odds at this point is 2.47. That's double my money back. And as you can see, I'm putting over $400 on this game. So I'm going to be making quite a decent sum back. But always remember, if you are going to place a bet on betway.co.za. It's the end of the show. Where did the time go? I always leave you with something, right? I don't have something new. Just a simple congratulations to Banyana for being the champions of Africa. I'll always give you your praise. I'll always give you your love that you deserve. And for you that is watching, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're notified for future episodes.